Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Welcome to the Along Came a Right. Well, welcome to Chat Noir, Mystery and Suspense. I hope you're having a mucho mysterious day. I'm Linda Kozar, your host, and I will be interviewing my friend, author Carla Hoch. Today, you will learn how to fight or make your characters fight right. And if you're feeling lucky, you might be the recipient of our prize today, a fight scene critique from Carla Hoch. That's right. If you win, you will get to send in one of your fight scenes, and Carla will tell you what's what about it. So put up your dukes and get ready to learn the ways of the warrior, because you've been doing it all wrong up until today. Now bow to your sensei. She has no book to bring yet, but I have it on good authority that there are several projects in the works, and she will likely explode on the scene like a pitcher of Kool-Aid. Okay, Carla, they hear you, but first I need to talk about you. And I'm going to read your wonderful bio because it's my favorite thing ever. So moments before the destruction of her home planet, Carla's parents jettisoned her and her twin brother to Earth. She was taken in by a kindly farmer in Kansas while she was embraced by a rather liberal clowder of feral cats in Houston, Texas. While still a toddler, she bid farewell to her feline family and headed to Pace, Florida, a small hamlet just outside Pensacola. There she raised herself in a hollowed-out tree trunk and taught herself to speak fluent Southern, ride out a hurricane like a pro, and tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi by fizz alone. That's a talent. As an adult, she fulfilled the dream of all feral cats and became a Spanish teacher and track coach. After nearly a decade in the classroom, she met a military cyborg who promptly married her and whisked her away to such exotic locations as Virginia and New Mexico. Now a mother of twins herself, she and her husband have returned to the People's Holy Republic of Texas, yoo-hoo, and reside not far from where her pod originally landed. Unlike her twin Clark, Carla found her powers late in life. She was first introduced to them through Hapkido-based self-defense class, through a Hapkido-based self-defense class. From there, she went on to train in MMA, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, and is currently a student of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Sayak. She has also assisted her coach, Eddie Avalar, not altogether human himself, in the teaching of self-defense. With him, she continues the study of street defense or whatever he happens to throw at her. Literally, he sometimes does that. Okay, and she's published more than 50 articles as both, now you write as both a color and ghost writer, because ghosts are transparent, right? Okay,
that's right.
In her three years working for a local magazine, she is a contracted fight scene editor with Quill Pen Editorial, and she did write a book, Breaking Read. I want to say Breaking Bad, but you know that wouldn't fly. And
so different.
She does have a story in the Out of the Storm anthology, so you can check that out. And she is also the Red Rider bloggess of redwritershood.com. And as far as you know, not working with cats in an evil plot to overtake the world. So I want to welcome you to the show, Carla.
Thank you.
And she also has a show, The Geek Block, on this network, the Along Came a Writer Network, as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and you must change your bio there because you do that.
I know. I've been doing it for how long? Almost 6 years now, right?
Yes, it's been a long time, but a very good.
Flies.
Good time. Yes. So I'm going to start off talking about fight and then write, interspersed in there,
Right.
and how those two words, fight, write, combine. And I am going to use some of the iconic Walking Dead fight scenes because, even I had problems, and I'm such a novice there. So first of all, how did you get started with fighting? Because you, I don't know if you noticed, but you're a little sprite. So how did that happen?
That's what I'm told.
Did someone kick sand in your face or something? What happened?
No, I enrolled my kids in Taekwondo, and there was a self-defense class that was taught there, and I was going to write a fight scene, and I thought, well, it kind of makes sense if I'm going to write a fight scene, I should know how to fight, because 6 years ago I did not know how to even throw a punch. I went to the self-defense class, and the first class I didn't even participate in because I was so intimidated and I thought it was scary. But little by little, I got into it, and from there, I just got deeper in the mire. The coach of the self-defense class, he also coached MMA. He goes, "Why don't you come to class?" And I said, "I can't do that. I'm however old I was at the time." And he said, "Oh, yeah, you can. Why can't you?" And I absolutely loved it. And mixed martial arts, that's what MMA is. It is a mixture of all the martial arts. And so you get exposed to a lot of different ones, and I was able to pick out which ones I really, really enjoyed. Specifically Muay Thai, which is martial art of Thailand. It's kickboxing. It's a specific style of kickboxing. But my favorite was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's where you're grappling on the ground. And the great thing about it is little people, no matter what you are, that's your advantage. If you're tall, that's your advantage. If you're big, that's your advantage. If you're small, that's your advantage. It's not about strength. It's about technique. And so from there, I moved to the gym where I am now with my coach. And street defense is great, what he's taught me of that, because it also deals with weaponry. It's basically anything that you might meet on the street. So it's everything from somebody just trying to push you down to somebody pulling a gun on you or pulling a pipe on you or, on the ground. It's a little bit of everything. And
in the beginning. No, go on.
Go ahead.
Go on. No, you go on. Okay.
They also.
So I want to know if you were a walking bruise. Okay. Well, I just want to know if, with all this going on, if you were a big walking bruise for the first couple of years, were you just?
My word. Yes, I'm still a huge walking bruise, and let's not forget. I hate to admit it. Well, no, I don't hate to admit it. I'm 44, and the older you get, the more you bruise. And when I was in MMA, I joke that I basically look like a cheetah. I have so many bruises on me. But the better you get, the less bruises you get. But right now, I'm dealing with bruised ribs. I mean, it hurts to inhale all the way. But, you just get used to it. I mean, it kind of becomes part and parcel. I dislocated one of my thumb, and it just hurt, and I couldn't figure out what to deal with. Well, then I put it back in the socket in class. I'm like, all this time it's been dislocated, and it's just kind of part of it. That's just how it is. You kind of, it's like if you cook a lot, you get burned. That's just part of it. And you're like,
well, that's
deal.
True. That happens. That happens. So now before I get into, I like that. I keep a bruise somewhere. You should put that on your
always.
Blog. Now, before we get started, I want to say how we met. Now, you and I met when I was having. I used to hold these Meet the Christian Authors book signing events, big events. Now, book signings aren't a big deal to me because I sell more books without signing, but they were kind of fun. But a wonderful woman by the name of Lillian Wright, who's the manager of the Barnes & Noble Champions 1960, a wonderful woman. She invited you to sign with us because she read your book and loved it. And of course, I had to vet your book. You gave it to me because I didn't know you, so I read it and I was like,
I didn't know you. Right.
I loved it. And I think I critiqued it for you too, because
you did. You did.
And I had to say, while it did need a lot of editing, that's not a big deal.
A lot of editing.
Yeah, but
it's not.
To me, editing is not a big deal because you can do that. But if the writing is bad, you can't put good writing into bad. You cannot. You'd have to rewrite the thing, and if you don't have the talent, you don't. But your voice just came right through, and it was wonderful, amazing, and I loved it. And so you better edit that fast because that needs to be out there again.
It's been how many years? 7 years. I still have the email after all this time that Lillian sent me. She said, I know a lady named Linda Kozar that I really think you should meet. I keep that email to this day. Because it
we
changed
did.
the trajectory of my life. It changed so much.
Oh, that's
and you
awesome.
have been such a huge influence. I have joked with you and I've told other people I want to be you when I grow up. But you really have.
Or old.
You
can say old. That's okay.
No, grow up. I'm not growing old. No, sorry, it's never going to happen. But you have always supported me and always pushed me, and I'm not an easy one to push. I dig my heels in, but you always have. And then, you asked me
and I'll keep
to
on.
be on the Geek Block. Yeah, you asked me to be on the show, on the radio show, and
amazing.
I had never done anything like that. And I don't know if you remember this, but you said that, God had told you I was the one, and I looked at you, I said, well, what if he's joking? He said he's not joking.
He doesn't joke that way.
No.
Well, you know what?
No,
I knew you had a great
blessing.
You had a great writing voice, but you also had a great radio voice, a great presence. So I knew you'd be wonderful.
Thank you.
So, okay, now we're going to move on to the fun stuff too.
The
Walking Dead questions. Okay, so you started with Hapkido. Okay, and on The Walking Dead, Eastman taught Morgan Aikido. So what's the difference?
They are different. Hapkido, and I hope I'm getting them right. Hapkido has to do with small joint manipulation. So think about the samurai on the battlefield with their swords. You grab someone's wrist and you de-sword them. Yeah, apparently that's a word. And then you break their wrist. Or it is a word. They say de-sword somebody, de-gun them.
They de-sword. Wow.
Yeah, you break their wrist, you break their knuckles, you make it to where they can no longer utilize their weaponry. And then you take them to the ground. So, but it is a little different. And I think, if I'm not mistaken about Aikido, it does have to do with taking someone off balance. But you got to remember, these people, samurai on the battlefield, were in a lot of clothing. And so they're going to have some big movements versus small movements. I know there's Aikido people out there that are probably going to pitch a fit, but their kicks are very big. And they have to be big because they have clothes that they have to get through. They may have chainmail they have to get to. But jiu-jitsu and judo and all that came from the samurai battlefield. And when you look at what they were wearing at the time, it makes complete sense. But what I started out with has to do with specifically breaking and dealing with small joints, because that takes away the element of, how much bigger a person is. Because it doesn't matter how big you are. If you break a finger, it hurts. And who creates the most pain wins. That's the rule. Whoever creates the most pain wins. It doesn't matter how big you are.
Yeah, I mean, if I get a paper cut, I'm like, so I mean, if you break a finger,
right.
But could you push past that though when you're fighting? I mean, if you broke something like that, but you were like fight to the death, you're going to push it, no matter what.
Well, yes, and you don't feel a lot of injuries. I actually had a friend this past weekend who was in a jiu-jitsu fight that broke a rib on the takedown. So from the first 5 seconds, he had a broken rib. And he knew he had a broken rib. He felt the pain when he moved, but you don't get the extent of it until the adrenaline ebbs. I've dislocated joints, didn't know it. People break things and they don't know it. But regardless, if you have a broken finger, if you have a broken wrist, you can no longer handle your weapon. And so even though the rest of your body may be working, you can't get to that sword anymore. You're not going to be able to hold that gun. You're not going to be able to wield that knife, at least not with that one hand. So it's not so much about the pain as disabling them and making them less able to defend themselves, so that you have the advantage and can get away, or you can continue to attack.
Now, next question. I want to fit all this in. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, the epic fight between the governor and Michonne in the the aquarium head room. Okay. All right. Okay. So he begs her not to kill his little girl, who is a walker already. Right. I don't know why he thought he could bring her back, but so after she kills him, he goes into a rage and and attacks her, and then she uses her katana for a chokehold on his neck, which that seems possible, but then he slams her head against the wall, but then he slams her head through the aquarium. Okay, now. To me, that doesn't seem, because isn't that safety glass? I mean, could you slam somebody's head through an aquarium?
No, you could.
And not have it cut their arteries?
It won't cut their arteries. your head is very blood rich, and any injury to the actual, like, I'm talking about scalp. I'm not talking about if you go through the bone. But
Well, I was
cutting your
thinking about her
scalp, you're
neck
not going to
though,
bleed to death from. Oh yeah, now that's a problem. You
because
can
part of
injure
her
your
head
neck
went
and
through.
not sever an artery. Yes, you can go.
Okay.
You cannot sever an artery. However, on your neck, if it's a big artery, the problem is you lose more blood than you can accommodate with fluid, because you have to replace that fluid with water, and you don't have that speed. So if he didn't sever an artery, but I'm going to tell you what, if you're hitting the back of somebody's head that hard to get something, I would imagine they'd be pretty dazed, or they'd be getting kind of close to knocked out. There's no absolute.
It was the front. Was the front of her head that went through it, and
yeah, that's right. At the top of your forehead, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
That's the hardest part of your skull. That's actually the hardest part of your skull. And if you're going to headbutt somebody, there's actually a technique for headbutting. And
so it's like headbutting, except she went through the glass. She went through there, and
I do remember that. She should have gotten cut up pretty good.
Yeah, and then after that, then he has her on the floor. She's on her stomach, and he's choking her, and she grabs some of the jagged glass, and she pushes it backward and straight into his eye. I mean, what are the odds she would have gotten his eye, or gotten that,
No
so
kidding.
is that, do you think that was that possible?
Well, it depends on how long that piece of glass is. If she was able to go all the way through the eye, back into that orbital cavity, and it had gotten into his brain, nicked his brain, I think his body would have done like a hard shutdown. Like on a computer, when your computer messes up, it's like, no, shutting down.
Yeah,
that's what your body would do. Even if it doesn't kill you, your body's going to say, oh, too much pain. Yeah, but hitting that perfectly is going to be tough.
Straight in the eye. I'll bet he didn't see that coming. Okay, I had to say that. Okay, now here's a sensitive topic. Okay, what about Eugene Porter taking a bite out of Dwight in a rather compromising place? Is that cool? That's below the belt. You know what I mean?
Well, but here's the thing. I get it, below the belt. Here's the thing. If it's on the street, it's legal. If your life is at stake, it's legal. Okay. You absolutely can tear away that part of a man. We have a method that my coach calls the grip and rip. And it absolutely, you grip it and you rip. Does it kill them? No. But I'll tell you what, it gets their attention quick.
Yeah.
They start thinking about other things quick.
Oh, okay. So I have another Eugene question. What about when Abraham found out he was a fraud and punched his lights out? I mean, he punched him so hard, he was out for I don't know how many hours. I mean, wouldn't that have caused a concussion or,
Yes. And if he stayed out for that long, he was not out because of the punch. He was out because of the concussion he sustained from hitting the ground. When you're knocked out from a punch, you're not knocked out that long. And generally when you're knocked out from the punch, when you hit the ground, more likely than not, you're twitching. Or I've seen people stiffen up, like even have their legs raised off the ground, stiffening up. But you don't fall down like, oh, I'm asleep. But if you have a concussion, if you've been knocked out like that, yeah, you're going to be out for a while. So he was out for a while because of the contact he made with the ground, not the contact he made with a fist.
Okay. Now, what's up with Dwight wearing Daryl down by playing Easy Street? Okay, I'm not saying that's fight scene material, but can you wear down your opponent by in other ways, like baiting them with words or whatever?
Oh yeah. There was a drug kingpin. This was in the 90s. I think it was 89. Maybe it was in the Contras. But anyway, there was Panamanian leader. Anyway, we were trying to get into the compound down there. And they played the same music again and again and again, and they played it really loud. So it absolutely drives you mad. I was in charge of Pledge Week at college for my little sorority club, and this is awful, and I regret this. I'm going to go ahead and say I regret it. I made them listen to a reading of Edgar Allan Poe's The Bells for 30 minutes.
That's evil.
Some of them... I know, and I didn't realize then what it was doing to him, but there was one girl that literally leaned over and started tapping her forehead on the ground. It's terrible. So, yes, that absolutely will work on you, Molly.
Okay, now here is a scene that no one will ever forget on Walking Dead. Rick versus Joe's crew. Okay, now if you remember, this is the crew that Daryl got stuck with when the prison fell and everyone was separated, and they were just merciless thugs, and they found Rick's little group, and they were gonna they had Carl was about to be assaulted and killed. Michonne had a gun to her head. And when Rick saw that, he made like a walker and bit into Joe's neck. Could that, I mean,
Yes.
is that one of those rip
Doable.
and, okay.
That's a thing. That is absolutely a thing.
So,
it's
wow.
gross, but it's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually
that was just...
grab somebody's throat. You can grab their trachea and crush it like a banana. That's awful. And if you pull, you can literally rip. So, but I mean, you got to think about it. These aren't people that are just mad at each other because they, shot their car bump their ankle. They're desperate. They're desperate. Yeah, it's live or die. So they're in a whole different mode.
Okay, so all right. Now in my books, I've offed my characters with MSG, a nail gun, a shovel, a sandbag, poison, a fruitcake, and an Australian snail. So I have a question. I have a character that meets his end with a large barbecue fork to the chest. Possible? Would it have to go through the pericardium? I mean, is that hard? Or should it be the neck?
It depends. No. It's gonna matter how long the tongs are. And
it's
where
long.
You hit
it's
it.
One of those long ones.
Okay, good. You know what? I don't know that I would go for the heart as much as I would go for the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta is right in where your ribs separate in the middle, kind of in the middle of your belly. But if you pierce that, there's no coming back. If you go for the heart straight ahead, remember you've got ribs, you've got muscle, and you've got lungs.
Right.
So it's possible that you and you know what? The heart can actually move to the side a little bit, but that abdominal aorta, if you get that, it's done. And also, don't forget you can get to the heart underneath the arm from the side.
Oh, that's right.
So
okay.
I think that's a little easier.
Looking.
Yeah, it's easier to get to. So I would go for the abdominal aorta. I think that's more of a sure bet.
Okay. Next question. Weapons of mass destruction. Is it possible to kill someone with a big fish? Could you kill someone with a fish?
I think you could probably bludgeon them to death, depending on the
That's
fish.
what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Depending on the fish, I think you might be able. But you got to remember, a fish isn't hard, so you're going to have to knock them out, and you're going to have to hit and hit. You know what? Now that I think about it, I wonder if a fish might be too. It might have too much give to it. But you know what? If you hit them down on the ground hard enough and they hit their head, and if it's a marlin, hey, you can stab them, but nobody can pick up a marlin, so there you go. I don't know.
That would be
I'm gonna have
an
to say
interesting scene.
I don't know if you could kill them. I don't know if you could kill them, but you could definitely knock them out.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Now, I don't watch cheesy horror movies anymore. I used to, though. I'm going to admit it. But Stephen King, not one of his best in 1992, Sleepwalkers. I don't know if you remember that. They were like a vampire werecat family. Okay. Well, anyway, she kills a man with a corn cob to his back, which I thought, who does that? Corn is so good. Why would you do that with corn?
I know.
Possible.
I know.
Possible. I guess she's aware.
No.
Well,
okay. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Where in the back?
In the middle.
No.
We're talking spine.
No, not unless she'd have to totally break the spine and break the spinal cord and all that. So I'm going to say that myth is busted.
Okay. And so, and by the way, her line was no vegetables, no dessert, because he was coming on to her romantically. But anyway.
Awesome.
So, okay, you're a busy girl these days and you're writing. I have it on good authority. You were working on some projects, and the day you finish and get these projects in the publishing queue, you will be back on the show to talk about it, and also when they come out, and talk about all the secret stuff. And
yes, please.
So tell me what you like about writing and what you hate about it, because we all have that.
What I like about writing is that you get to be anything you want to be. I mean, because you are your character for that moment. You're having to see what they see and smell what they smell and experience what they're experiencing. And so you get to have it all. I've always said that writers are the biggest thieves because they steal experiences from other people and then they experience them themselves on the page.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about it. What I hate about it is, it's executive processing. It's multitasking of the brain. And sometimes your brain just doesn't want to do it. I am not a fast writer. I know some people that can just, Tosca can bust out 10,000 words in a day. It's not without a lot of work. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a bit of ADD. My brain, and I'm not joking about that. I know people. I literally, my brain has a hard time staying on the same subject for a very long time. And if I write for a very long time, I'm kind of worn out and drained. So it is taxing. It's very taxing mentally. And I don't know if it's like that for everybody, but I have to get up and I have to take breaks, or I get depressed. I will literally get.
It's like that. It's like that for me. I mean,
Good.
I'm not a high volume writer. I'll write like if I write 3,000 words a day, I'm good. I'm on top of the world.
Yeah. That's me too.
Because well, see, but I write Cozy Mystery, so there's a lot of comedy in there, and comedy has to be spot on. It has to, the timing has to, the timing works for writing it as in the same as writing it to speak,
Right.
Because all this comedy, all those comedians out there, somebody writes their jokes a lot, for most of them anyway.
They do.
Yeah.
Right.
But so you're working on fiction and nonfiction. Which one is your favorite so far?
So far, nonfiction. It is, because it's just kind of speaking from what you know. It's kind of speaking from what you know. And, fiction, what people don't understand is sometimes your characters change their minds. And what you think that character was going to do in a chapter, they don't do, which does not make sense to people, but it happens. Something
it does.
And you're like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this. And that means everything you've done so far needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, sometimes your character does an about face on something, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm the writer. How come my character?
Your character will boss you around.
Yeah, yes, they do. Yeah. So anyway, well, let's tell us about Realm Makers. That is coming up for you. Okay. How did you get into Realm Makers, and how did you wait, I was looking at your other thing. Oh, Quill Pen Editorial. Tell us about that.
Yes. Okay. Realm Makers is for speculative fiction writers. Speculative fiction is all the weird stuff, sci-fi, fantasy, steampunk, all that cool stuff, and it is for people of faith. And it does not necessarily have to be a Christian. If you are a Jewish person, bring it on. But it is for people of faith who ultimately want God to be honored in what they write. It doesn't mean that there's going to be an alien Jesus and a baptism scene. That is not what it's about. It is about giving people, a clean option that goes toward the light rather than the darkness. But it doesn't mean the darkness won't be there. So I got involved with Realm Makers about 3 years ago, and I was asked to be on a panel talking about fight scenes. And they had different people. There was someone who knew about medicine and someone who knew about writing, and there was somebody who was from the military. And I was the resident fight person, which cracked me up. But people kept asking specific things that were more specific to my background and physically, what do you do in this situation? And so when it came around the next year, they said, well, hey, what? Are we running out of time?
No, hurry. We're running out of time. Okay, keep going.
Okay. And so the next year they say, hey, do you think you can teach a workshop? And I said, sure. And I got up and I realized, oh, crud, I'm the only one teaching this. And so it worked, and it went for about an hour and a half. And after that, Quill Pen Editorial approached me and said, hey, do you want to work for us? And I said, sure. And now Realm Makers is coming up again, and I am first on the list right after the introductory main speaker, Ted Decker.
Okay, so, for people who are listening, hey, go check out Realm Makers because Carla is going to be teaching there, and it's going to be amazing. You're going to learn everything you want to know. Right. And that's a great opportunity. Also, our winner of your FightWrite critique, which is awesome, and it's a critique of a fight scene, is Jamie Combs, Combs. Yay, Jamie. I will contact you on Facebook and put you in touch with Carla and let you know what's what. Now, there was one last question if we have time for it. Where do you go in your head when you fight, especially when you're having a great day? This is from Danelle Woody on Facebook.
I go to that scene and I fight. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with having a great day. It has nothing to do. It's two different boxes. You step out of one box and you go to the other box. And you imagine you're in that scene, and then when the scene is over, you step out of that box and you go about your day. Fighters
Well,
aren't
that's
angry people
awesome.
at all.
Well, that's
They're
awesome.
not.
And we have had a great time. We could talk for, at least a couple hours longer, but I'll just
Yes.
have you back and that'll be even better. So thank you for being on the show, Miss Carla. And thank you for
having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.